Alright, welcome to another edition of Gary Hates Your Guts. Yeah, that's probably what it should be titled. So I probably do hate your guts. Anyway, so, yes, GoogleIsEvil, and what the fuck? You know, it's just too stupid, all this bullshit we live in. Ugh, tedious shit, just every day. Pull the blinds, push the blind up and look out the window. And yes, shit. shit everywhere. So anyway, made another video. Videos are on the website, so people who might be confused, this is an update video, okay, where I'm just updating what I have done. And what I have done is made a video on the website. See, that's the actual video for this week. Anyway, the hour-long video. See, this one won't be an hour. This one will sort of be, it could be instructions like this. This is sort of instructions. So there's a link in the description or actually in a comment, a pinned comment, links to the videos that are on the website because Google is evil. So obviously you shouldn't use it if you don't have to. Now you still have to use it because it's part of human infrastructure of the internet, and people won't be able to find you if you don't placate playing on the platforms that are, that own the territory, so to speak. So anyway, blah 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 blah. Anyway, okay. So, yeah, video. It doesn't, it's got the mystic in it, but he's sort of not in the video. Yeah, he is in the video, but it's not really what the video's about. Mostly. Yeah, I think so. So anyway, we'll jump ahead a little bit, and, yeah, it should be, the volume should be okay. And all the language barriers, and you can't even say some words without, I don't know, sounds like I'm just saying something about triggering people and blah, blah, blah. And yeah, so it's so hard to communicate anything. People are coming from so many diverse interests and diverse places. And, how do you make this universal communicator where you can actually get people to stay on the subject, that you're actually on, and then understand the words you're using to describe the subject. I mean, there's just so many limitations, so many obstacles to any kind of fruitful or constructive conversation. And then you get into the ideological, the foundational disagreements show up almost immediately. The God botherer versus the atheist, and and so you're automatically going to run into that argument, and then the conversation's almost over because you're just basically jihading against each other rather than doing anything called a conversation. Did I jump ahead? Well, I can jump ahead a little further, it doesn't matter. To find the, it just doesn't happen. It just doesn't pop into your head. You have to go through this procedure of figuring out what's possible. Okay, so I guess I'm just the learning curve, and the fact is that it takes work, to understand. It's just it just isn't going to, you're not going to just sit and listen to a piece of music or a cat meows and all of a sudden you understand. It's just not going to happen that way. To really understand something, that is to understand what it can do, is more than just the metal. Oh, it's metal. It's more than that. You have to do the, it has lenses in it, and it does, you have to do more. Investigating and more analyzing, and you have to take things apart and then put them back together and then model it and do, there's just more work to this understanding thing than just waking up in the morning. And then you ask the question, well, how durable is this complication? So the universe allows things to... So I was just pointing out, well, what occurred to me, right? Before I made the video, I just had a thought that occurred to me about one of these fake little philosophical questions is can we escape the solar system? Is there any way for a life form, if it was to be created in the universe someplace, for it to ever survive long enough to actually become permanent, to become indestructible in the universe, to have the capacity to escape a galaxy that's in crisis. You know, can it escape the fact that the universe is recycling material? It doesn't leave material in one place forever. It recycles it. And can you avoid the recycling machine? I mean, it's an interesting question, but the point is that to answer the question, you have to understand that, well, warp drive really ain't going to happen. This ain't going to happen. That ain't going to happen. Blah, 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 blah. You have to go through all that. You have to have some sort of knowledge of the physics of the universe to understand how to answer that question reasonably. Oh, all these images of people with the funny hair. Reasonable is the wrong word, right? Because reasonable just has to do with what facts you have. But you have to have good facts to do good reasoning. That's the fact. Cuts and all the bullshit. It's like, oh, Jesus. They spend 3 hours in a chair for that. Yeah, so just insulting, you know, the preoccupations people have with such trivial nonsense, and so much of their capacity to do thinking is just wasted on thinking about how to get into her pants and all the other stuff. And I'm guilty of it too. How much time is spent wasted on these little poofy bullshit, you know, where we're chasing our little bit of ego maintenance. You know, some concept that because I have the big screen TV, everything's okay now. Among all the dismal failures. But anyway, so Mystic, over time, you know, lots of good, I think, fruitful conversations about the truth, but he was never in it for the truth value. Yeah, so he's made some recent videos where he just says things that are just crazy, like, you know, he cares more about the artistic quality of his video than the content quality. What he's saying isn't important. You know, somehow the performance is more important. Somehow the impact on you is more important, let's just say. If at the end of the video you had a happy thought and you said, oh, everything's okay, then it's a good video. You know. But if you had a negative thought, oh shit, I'm terrified, that somehow that's the quality of the information you provided or what you were doing here. So all we're doing here is some sort of entertainment. You know, it's not about something bigger or better than that. And that's, you know, I just think that's just crazy. I can't make any sense out of that. Why the fuck are you making videos then? Why don't you just mumble? If what you're saying doesn't matter, why don't you just hum tunes? You'll probably get just as many views. You know, if the Mystic just made videos, you'd probably get the same number of views. You know, I probably would. I think I could. You know, I could make videos, and I'd probably get more views than I get now. Yeah, probably. I think I could do it stylish enough. You know, I could have 3 or 4 screens of me doing different do's. You know, I could do different parts of the song. You know, that kind of row, row, row your boat thing or something. I could probably figure out how to do that. But I'm not going to, because that would be a waste of my goddamn fucking brain. But anyway, it is sad and terrible that this is the internet. I mean, I think he knows he could do gardening videos, frankly. You know. But there's a part of him that thinks this is an important conversation, so I think he's just lying, okay, to say that he doesn't think the conversation is important. So I think he thinks it is. But whatever. I don't know what he's doing, frankly. It's just a little bit too... I mean, it's just wooey and evasive and mushy that he's putting it in words that are just not very clear. And it has to be doing that on purpose because he has a really good vocabulary. He has a pretty good mastery of articulation, you know, converting thought into sentences. He's good at it. So there's no excuse for him to be selectively bad at it. The universe what we're failing to do is to stop at the facts, and instead people are just...
Yeah, so that's the whole deal, right? I mean, I'm basically arguing for let's go back, okay, to, you know, where we found water's wet, you know, let's go back to where we got the right answers, and before we started inventing Zorro, you know, and the Lone Ranger, and, you know, all the fables, all the horse shit. You know, let's just deal with what we can, you know, what's true. You know, volcanoes are hot. You know, because yeah, it's you know, it's not that we got some facts wrong. It's that we made up shit, and it's the made up shit that's just so damn dangerous. Sensing pain. Okay, we're not. It's not the same as making... Okay, so this is where it gets a little bit, you know, it's a little tricky, you know, just because, you know, I haven't spent a long time figuring out how to say this stuff about what's the distinction between what your brain's doing when it's thinking about an object or composing an object in your brain and, you know, putting it into space and turning it around. You know, I can imagine things, a little statue spinning in my brain. I can imagine any object, and I can place it in my brain in all kinds of contexts. I can put any kind of background. I can, you know, manipulate in all kinds of ways. Well, what's the difference between that and ouch, fuck, that hurt, cramp in my leg, you know, that kind of thing? Well, what's the difference? Well, the difference is because yes, your brain is doing something different. It's not just the same kind of signal. The signal goes through a little sub-processor that says this is something different. Okay, these neuron connections, these little tingles, aren't to be used for understanding something, like feeling its texture, whether it's smooth or ooh, it's dusty. You know, not for sensing. It's for feeling, and then it sends it to this other organ. It's like a different organ it goes to. It's like your eyes are creating the image in the back of your brain, and your ears are hitting another little spot of neurons and creating pattern. Well, pain and feelings are in another little place in the brain that's manufacturing, okay, the sensation that goes with its reactions to the symbols. And it's really, some of it happens in your wrist. Your wrist is making the decision whether this is going to be painful or not. And you can tell it's happening there in a lot of ways, just because, yeah, you can kill the neurons, and, you know. But I just mean the decision sometimes is being made there, whether you're just going to feel something, texture, or you're going to feel pain. Anyway, moving on. The whole point is that the pain exists because it's just reward and punishment. It's just a way for the brain to create a mechanism that creates a prime directive that forces the rest of the programming to pay attention to these prime directives, which are don't get decapitated, don't let, you know, sticks poke you in the eye, don't do, you know. So it's got to create these senses that make you very sensitive to being poked with things because you know it can hurt. So it's just creating a prime directive of preserve the physical body. I mean, that's clearly the intent. And it's, you know, there's subtleties, like don't eat too much, it'll give you a bellyache, you know, different ways that you can be taught a lesson. But that's all it's for, is reward and punishment. The neurons and all that stuff trigger the... It's there to teach. It's not there to do anything else. And so all of the stuff that you don't learn anything from, that is, you've already learned that lesson, you learned 2 plus 2. There's no point in it teaching you 2 plus 2 again. But it does it anyway. So it gives you pain when you already know, oh yeah, I already know I made a mistake. I already know I shouldn't have let that happen. I already know I have an injury. Cut me a break, okay? I need to use my hand. Okay, so I don't need this stupid pain. I understand. I put a Band-Aid on it. It's okay now. Let it, you know, leave me alone. But the, you know, it's evolution. It's a crocodile. It's a shark. It's a dumb animal. Our sense organs are dumb animals. They're not going to be able to be sophisticated enough to know, oh, you already know 2 plus 2. Oh, okay, I won't bother. Pain. They're clearly separate things. We're doing both, but they're clearly separate things. Just making a distinction between thinking and feeling. Different things. to play the,
but not fundamentally different. Okay, I mean, I'm trying to emphasize the fact that they're different, but they're not fundamentally different. It's just frickin' electricity and neurons creating a completely synthetic world that you're existing in. It's a fake projector, it's a fake movie screen, it's a fake seat, and it's a fake you sitting in it. The whole theater is a big pile of shit constructed out of a bunch of electricity, and that's it. But goddamn, I mean, it's one hell of an illusion. Again, it doesn't matter that it's synthetic, because guess what? It did one hell of a good job. I mean, it's the best fake carrot ever made. Game, the way evolution... Alright, so just pointing out how evolution is really dumb. I mean, we're, fuck stuff, eat shit, fuck stuff, lay eggs, die. That's the agenda. So yeah, the programming sucks. The native programming is retarded. So, us doing this thinking stuff and all of this abstraction and all this blah, 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 blah agenda, yeah, of course, the mechanism is so crude. So we're using this really crude, dirty knife, as a scalpel, of reality. So here we are trying to cut up reality and parse it and understand it. And we're doing it with a knife that's just so crude, because evolution is distracting us with a bunch of stupid agenda. Go chase the, the egg layer. Yeah, I mean, it's just, it's such a cruel joke, to have a brain capable of so much and have it so distracted by such bullshit. Has over time found to be conducive to your in the water. It's just thinner water. We're still doing exactly. Yeah, so just making the point. We're just fish. We're just fucking fish with fish agenda. We got a little fin. We're swimming. We're trying to get the other. Oh, the other guy's eating that. I'm gonna eat that. I'm gonna steal his food. I'm gonna get this. I'm gonna. We're just fish. Playing a fishy game. It's just so. It's so pitiful. That there's so much of it you can just see. We're just fish out of the water. So we have the water on the inside now. It's just so obvious that we're still swimming in the ocean. We're still just being fish. And yes, we can do something a little fancier, but it's same difference. 13. But yeah, it just doesn't go anywhere. Trying to make this eternal soul. Ah, yes. So yeah, I was just talking about how can it possibly be a continuum when I don't remember anything? And so if I don't have any, if everything that makes me who I am is all of this little stuff, all these little quirks, and I can see where each one of them came from. You can sort of look at your own history and understand why you are the person you are. Who you're mimicking and who you're duplicating and who you've plagiarized, maybe. Why you have subtle habits. And every one of them sort of traceable. So obviously they all happened here. They didn't happen in some other life. Okay, and so I'm not going to take them to some other world, because that person's going to be a whole different person, because he's going to have all different experiences. It's going to teach him to have a whole different bunch of habits, and he's going to admire whole different things. And, he'll have end up with a beard, and I won't. That kind of thing. It's not going to be me. I can't go anywhere. There's no evidence that I was anywhere. So how can I be going anywhere? Memories and, consolidating the pieces of the thought that have connection to other pieces. So the word fluid or hard or something, those... yeah, so just talking about how verbiage, the words are, concepts. The concept of, this thing, wet, ends up being connected to the other concepts of fluid, or concept of liquid, or and it's just a connection of these subtle differences in the words, and the subtleties allow you to combine, eventually, elephant and mouse.
you know, eventually through a bunch of subtle connections, they both have hair and they have two eyes and they have blah, 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 you'll connect the two objects, and you'll connect everything to everything through those conceptual notions of a property, of a habit, of a function, that kind of thing.
Go to a bit in the science, is it, department?
Okay, so he doesn't really deal with science, so we'll just ignore that because he doesn't deal with science. Anyway. And hey, failure. I'll try a little bit. Oh, there we go. Play it. The game because the game is too stupid. I don't exist to lay eggs and die. Yeah, right. So I was just emphasizing the point that you know, we're way over functional. We're way too functional for the game we're playing, and so unless you're an imbecile, you know, unless you're not much smarter than a rat, there's no game, you know, because all the parts of the game are just so damn fucking stupid. You're way too smart a computer to play tic-tac-toe, you know, because you know it doesn't have a resolution. You can't, you know, if you're a smart enough computer, you can't even play chess because you know the first move already decides the fate of the game. You'd already know that whoever goes first wins, you know, kind of a catch. Because you'd have all the strategies already figured out, every move and counter move, and you'd know that there are certain things I can do, okay, going first, that'll guarantee I win. And it probably turns out that way. Just a fact that the person who gets the extra move wins. Yeah. I haven't thought of that before, but it's probably true that, you know, if we could be smarter, a little bit smarter, then all the games would be just as futile. Even the ones we think aren't futile, they're just as futile. And it's all based on the catch of whoever goes first wins. Alright, so that's the end. Pretty much, looks like the end. I'll play a little bit of the end because that's what this robot has figured out is the only course of action is to beep boop in the direction of make things better for you. Yeah, there you go. So yeah, so all the bullshit, all the complicated, no, it's not complicated. We're here. The most important thing I can figure out I'm doing is feeling. The most important thing about feeling is not being tortured. Yeah, feeling terrible, that's a bad thing. We got to stop the bad. Seems kind of an easy agenda to figure out, so that's all we're in it for, is to figure out how do I prevent more bad. If I pick this up and throw it over my left shoulder, will that prevent more harm in the universe? And if it will, then I'll do that. That's the simple agenda. Figure out how to play this game where you create less harm overall. That is for the whole destiny of the feeling organisms on Earth. So it is a complex question, right? I mean, it's pretty hard to figure out what's the, you know, 1 million years from now consequence of my actions. And so yeah, that's a daunting task, but that's really is the task. The task is to figure out what's the best you can do to mitigate against the bad of suffering happening to a feeling thing, and just make less of that. Just have the minimum amount of torture, the minimum amount of negative education, okay, of punishment that doesn't come with the reward of advancing or making something better. So if it doesn't make for a better result, that is, if the harm doesn't create less harm in the future, then the harm shouldn't exist. It's a pretty simple equation. And it certainly has an agenda. It's logically indestructible, in my opinion. That's the only game worth playing here. All the other games, jump over the bar, you know, play with little streamers, dance, hop, jump. All the games you could play here, all of them are bullshit. The only game worth playing is reduce the harm.
That's it. That's the only game worth playing. Every other game is silly and stupid. It's just a fact. Alright, so that's a good ending note, I think. Point made, I think, successfully. Alright, so we'll call that a video. And so I think it's a, I think it's a video worth listening to, in its entirety. But if you don't have the time or whatever, blah, 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 I actually talk about the pamphlet in the video, just giving people the easy version. People like the mystic and maybe like me. We have done a lot of work for you people in the sense that, we sat there and agonized over trying to figure out, well, is my brain dwarfs or is it midgets or is it little people? Doing all this conceptual thinking, how does it work? Why do I hear? What am I, and we're giving you the pamphlet version. You don't have to do all this reading, all this thinking, all this. You don't have to consume all that time to read the fat book. We're giving you the nice little thin book, and you're still throwing it back in our faces. I mean, it's just really irritating. Anyway, it's irritating. Just a fact. Okay. So, till the next time, and you certainly can't even argue the pamphlet. Again, you just throw it back or you spit on it, but you don't bother arguing it. And you certainly won't go to the big book, because that's really where the argument has to happen. The argument has to happen in the big book of science and evolution and facts. You have to argue the facts that are in the big book. Alright, but anyway, that's enough. Alright, so this has been Google is Evil, donotgod.com video presentation, and such, and so forth and whatnot. So, till the next time and such, blah blah, blah blah blah. Blah blah blah. Blah. Blah blah. Blah 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 blah. Whatever and such. Whatever and such. And whatever. Blah 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 blah.